And best friend, how you doing today?
Good. I'm ready for another show.
This is awesome. This will technically be your first official with a guest show that you're going to be doing for College Basketball Times. Pretty awesome. Three college basketball questions with Zane. And we're going to get into it today a little bit, which is kind of cool. So instead of your normal intro, what I'm going to do is share screen, and we're going to see a picture of your guest today.
All right. Sounds good.
How about that with your new logo and everything? Who's our guest today?
We have Mr. Andy Katz.
Oh my gosh, please tell us about Mr. Katz.
Well, he's a college basketball analyst for the Big Ten Network.
Mm-hmm.
He's a college basketball correspondent for the NCAA. He worked as a senior basketball journalist for ESPN. And he was a regular sports analyst on College Game Night.
Pretty big stuff. I got a couple facts. You want to hear them?
Sure.
He's a University of Wisconsin Madison grad. That's where he went to college. And before he worked at ESPN, I know he's on Big Ten Network now, but he was a sports reporter for the Fresno Bee and the Albuquerque Journal. Should we bring him in?
Yeah. I think we should.
You know what? This is going to be awesome. I can't even wait.
It will.
There you go, buddy. Take it away, Zane.
Hi, Mr. Katz. Can you hear us?
I got you.
All right. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you're welcome. Are you ready for my questions?
I'm ready.
All right. How did you start your job, and who helped you the most in your career?
Well, I've had an interesting journey. So I started way back when I was in college at Wisconsin. And right off the bat was at the student newspaper, worked in the Daily Cardinal, the Wisconsin State Journal, WIBA, was a local radio station, then the Milwaukee Journal, and then ultimately went to Albuquerque, then Fresno, as I see Fresno State behind you, I think that is, and then to ESPN for 18 years before I worked with the NCAA and the Big Ten Network. There's been a lot of people. One of the people that I think of early on was, and people know this name in Madison, was Marsh Shapiro. He owns a restaurant called he has since passed away, but owned a restaurant called the Nitty Gritty, still in existence. And Marsh actually was a local journalist, reporter, on-air talent. And he's the one that actually got me hooked up with WIBA. I had a mutual connection, and he took a liking to me. And sort of that was my first foray into, broadcasting, if you will. I was still doing print, but that was sort of the first step. And I mean, then there's been, it's hard for me to even single out people, but I guess I think back to that was the first person who was an adult who sort of looked and said, you know what, give this a try. I think you'll be pretty good at it.
Yeah, that's a great answer. For a second question, what are the three teams you think could be a Cinderella in the NCAA tournament?
So my definition of a Cinderella, it changes actually. Initially people will say, well, it's got to be a double-digit seed. But I also think you can have a team that might have a good seed, but does not come from a major conference. And that's why I would say Murray State is definitely going to be one of those teams that could get pretty far in this NCAA tournament. But they have a good enough record that they will be like a 6 or a 7 or an 8. But they're not thought of as one of the power schools. So they're definitely one that I would think of. I would say whoever wins the Missouri Valley Conference, whether that's Loyola Chicago or Northern Iowa or Missouri State or Drake, because their tournament is next week. and any one of those teams could win it, and I think win a game or two. So they would be defined by that. But then we could get, teams like last year, an Oregon State made it all the way to the Elite Eight, and they were a 12 seed. And so I would not be surprised if we get a double-digit seed like that from a major conference. And could that be a Rutgers, for example, from the Big Ten, that gets all the way, to the deep into that second weekend? Certainly, could see that occurring. In other leagues, I would say, could it be Creighton has a big injury. I was thinking of a Creighton. Ryan Nembhard just got hurt. So, but they were a team I was thinking of, like out of a team like the Big East that could be a double-digit seed and get there. Could it be a San Francisco out of the WCC, a team that's going to be one of the latter teams in? Even in North Carolina, crazy as it sounds, they end up getting in and being a double-digit seed and could get hot and get deep into the tournament.
Yeah. Well,
Zane, who are some of the teams that you like this year? And they might not be Cinderellas. You want to tell Mr. Katz what are some of the teams that you like?
Maybe. Well, I like Wisconsin, Duke, Kansas, Baylor. Providence is just below the top 10, so maybe them.
Yeah, I mean, all those are great candidates that could win the whole thing.
Yeah.
We unfortunately let him do our Calcutta with the guys last year for the first time. I'm actually going to say this because it's going up on Facebook and stuff, but he did better than me, and he came in third place out of 8 guys. And no one helped him with his picks. So I don't know if we're going to let him do it this year. We'll see, buddy. You'll probably be able to do it.
All right.
What's your next question?
Well, what have been your 2 most exciting moments to cover for college basketball?
In terms of excitement, I would say they actually both would go down. Well, I'm going to give you 3. All at the Final Four. I could go deeper than that. I'll go 4. Seeing Mario Chalmers game-tying 3-pointer in 2008 for Kansas against Memphis. The missed shot, I don't have these necessarily in order. Gordon Hayward, 2010, Butler, Duke. I was right there to see the trajectory of the shot. The Wisconsin win over Kentucky, it wasn't a moment like a buzzer beater, but being in Indianapolis also, 2015, Kentucky was 38-0 that time, and seeing the 5th quarter, normally a football thing, but doing it at the national semifinals where the band wasn't leaving, the crowd weren't leaving after the game. That was just, that was something else. And obviously, the Chris Jenkins. Well, you know what? I'm going to, so the last 2 were Chris Jenkins, obviously Villanova 2016. I was right there, saw that, I was on the other side of the court, but then he came over with Villanova when they celebrated and win the national championship at the buzzer, which that's the ultimate. And then last year, I had an interesting perch because of the COVID. I was actually in the football press box. So I had this angle of looking down on Jalen Suggs' buzzer beater for Gonzaga to beat UCLA. I mean, I've obviously been very fortunate to be courtside in all these, but that one was the first time I've been like in the nosebleed, but just, it was interesting to see, the whole development of the play and from the top down, seeing it, and you could see like it was going in, just from that, to have that bird's eye view.
Yeah, well, I was able to see, like we mentioned earlier, Wisconsin beat Penn State for my 10th birthday. So that was also really cool.
Awesome. Yes. That was a closer game than I think we all thought, but Wisconsin did win.
They did.
Yeah. And he actually had, we talk about buzzer beaters, he had Jamie Valvano, Coach Valvano's daughter, on one of his earlier episodes. And we talked about that buzzer beater, one of the most famous ones in NCAA history. So yeah, there's just such great stuff. And because of COVID, we actually watched a bunch of old tournament games the year that the tournament was canceled, because he was really having a hard time not getting his March Madness fix. So we watched some of this stuff, Georgetown, North Carolina, back, I think it was 82, and went through a whole bunch of games, and he got a good little history lesson on some of the craziness that's happened. And
they did a great job of replaying those.
Question for you. Did you think Hayward's shot was in when you were watching it? Did you think it was going in?
Yeah. I mean, I did. And that would have been one of the greatest sports moments of all time. It would have been David Goliath, Butler in Indianapolis, the way it would have ended. I mean, it really would have been unbelievable. The roof would have fallen off.
Oh my gosh, I know. Buddy, what's your next question?
Well, for my bonus, it's what's your favorite sports movie?
Wow. Okay. This is a good one, because you've stumped me, Zane, because everyone loves to throw out Hoosiers and all that, but oh God, I gotta think. Like, all right, now you really have got me thinking here.
You don't have to just pick one, Andy. You can pick a couple if you want.
I know I'm thinking of sports.
Limit you to one, but he's watched a whole bunch. The most recently was Invincible, and I'm watching Invincible, the Vince Papale story.
Okay.
Maybe we should get Vince on one of these shows, Zane.
Maybe. That would be cool.
I mean, like, this is gonna predate you, and this is sports related. But I mean, look, I liked The Blind Side. I also like, this is going way back. I like the movie Breaking Away. I don't know if you know this, Chris. I mean, it was set, it's a cycling town versus college set in Bloomington. So it's at Indiana. So boy, I don't know. Now you've stumped me here. I could even go The Fish That Saved Pittsburgh, old time basketball movie with Dr. J in it.
Those are three. I don't think you've seen any of those movies yet. Those are on the list. On the list. You've seen all the Rockies.
Old school.
Those are great ones.
Yeah.
Andy, I got a quick question for you, if you don't mind.
Yes.
I told Zane that you actually did brackets with President Obama, and
that's right. 8 years.
His eyes almost popped out of his head.
Yep. You can Google that, Zane. For 8 years, I did the bracket with the president. It was an idea I had actually when I was fortunate to interview him prior to the presidency in 2008. And I knew that he loved basketball. So I thought of it, and it ended up being, something that obviously it's one of my career highlights, to go to the White House that many times and to do the bracket with him. And clearly it, and it never got old, and we did it for 8 years, and it became definitely something special.
Very unique, very unique. One of my buddies actually played a little pickup basketball with him. He played at Harvard.
Yep.
Roommate is the former Secretary of Education, and that's how
Arnie Duncan.
Yep. That was his roommate at Harvard.
Okay.
And, Greg is an awesome guy, ankle breaker, best crossover I've ever seen in my life. At 50 something years old, still can teach young guys a thing or two out in the court. So, Zane, do you have one more question you want to ask Mr. Katz before we let him leave?
Yeah. Would you like to come on my show next year for March Madness?
Yeah, next year. Yeah, you can have me back next year.
All right. Sounds good.
Okay.
All right. Well, Zane, say your thank yous and goodbyes. We're going to wrap it up. Mr. Katz, super busy. Andy, thank you from me as a dad. I really appreciate you taking
of course. Appreciate it. I love your banners. You got a lot of West Coast in the background. Boise, Fresno. I love that.
I do. I have more over there like Memphis, Arkansas State, and Cal Poly. I like all the teams that you usually don't see on the usual networks.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, did you want to show Mr. Katz your memorabilia thing? Because he is a.
Oh, yeah.
He had one thing he wanted to show you. Sorry, Andy.
Sure.
He's very proud of this.
I got this for my 10th birthday from Coach Guard.
Awesome.
Yeah.
There's all the signatures. Big.
Oh, I love it.
10. Yeah. All right, bud. Do your
All right.
Do your goodbyes.
Go Badgers.
Thanks for coming on my show and spending time with me.
You're welcome, Zane. Have a great day.
Thanks a lot, Andy. Take care.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye. It was great.
I want to go back and listen to some of his answers as far as the Cinderellas.
Yeah.
And also his favorite moments. And I think we can look those up on YouTube. And you're going to enjoy some of those that I don't think you've seen. But those last moments of games where he thought they were the most exciting. You really got him. You really got him on the favorite movie. It's tough to come up with a favorite sports movie. So it's so many great ones.
Yeah, true. There are a
All right,
lot.
let's just do our sign off. Great episode for your first official one with a guest for College Basketball Times. Proud of you. Take it away.
All right. As Jimmy Valvano said, don't give up. Don't ever give up. Bye.
Love you, buddy. Great job.
Thanks.
See ya. Bye, everybody.